You know, we love talking Army, Navy, and, of course, USAA will certainly present the 119th edition of Army and Navy. And I get a little bragging rights, too, because we had a real, just a blast last year with Carl Liebert, EVP and COO, USAA, and graduate of U.S. Naval Academy. We had him on last year. We were kind enough to get him on for a couple moments this year to preview the big game and what it means for many. Carl, good to talk to you again, my friend. How you been?
I'm great, Rich. It's great to be back on with you, so thanks for having us back.
Well, we appreciate it, and I'll tell you, if we get a game like last year, we're in store for another treat because you had all the theatrics, the drama, you know, the late field goal miss. You had guys rushing the ball for well over 100 yards. I mean, that's how that game, especially this year with Navy struggling like they are, you know, you would want to get one of those games, but last year, that was a heck of a game for both academies. It was just wonderful to watch.
No, it was unbelievable. I described it as a lot like playing in a snow globe, you know, with the snow and everything coming down and Army in those white uniforms. And it was an incredible atmosphere. And unfortunately for my Navy guys, it didn't turn out as well as we liked. But for America, it turned out to be a fabulous game. And
I think, you know, the one thing that I don't know, for people that don't, if you don't follow, you know, this weekend or the game as closely as others that have served or are part of these academies or in Army or Navy, Air Force, you know, some of them don't know that this game has huge implications because if Navy defeats Army, then Navy, Air Force, and Army are all going to share in the Commander-in-Chief's trophy. And it's a rarity because for those that don't get it, the three teams right now are 1-1, right? Because Air Force beat Navy, Army beat Air Force. The trophy is going to remain at West Point because the rules state that the previous winner retains a trophy if all three teams go 1-1. And this has happened. So in 46 years now, Carl, right? This has been on the line. 4 times has there been a tie. 74, I believe, which was retained by Navy. 76, which, again, by you guys. 1980 by Navy. And then 93 by Air Force. So there's a lot on the line here on this game Saturday.
Yeah, and what most people don't realize is to win it outright. And Army's never won the Commanders-in-Chief trophy outright twice in a row. So this is a big game for them. And, you know, they're coming in 9-2 and obviously heading to a bowl game. Navy's coming in 3-9. And, you know, this makes Navy's season if we can win this game and force that tie in the Commanders-in-Chief's trophy that prevents Army from winning a second straight time. So I think there's a lot on the line on Saturday, so it's going to be great.
I mean, it's going to be a special day nonetheless. Now, I was reading, too, they're going to have, I believe, a commemorative coin as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, they are. It's a special coin. USAA is proud to be the sponsor of America's game. And one of the cool things about the coin this year is we're honoring exchange students, the cadets and midshipmen that spend a semester at each one of the particular schools. There's a ceremony before the game where we give each other students back. And, you know, they've gone through an incredible week of hazing and all the other things that go along with being on foreign soil for a week prior to this game. But it's special, and it's certainly one of those things that honors these two great institutions.
Yeah, and it's always good to have that type of relationship in the backing too at USAA. And I think a lot of people forget that as well. You know, it's a presenting sponsor of the game as well, and they do some wonderful stuff too.
Well, you know, for us, and what I always try to remind people, Rich, and is just that our job is to highlight these schools, these young men and women who are going to go service and sacrifice. USAA is in the background. We're here to serve them and to demonstrate and bring that to America. These are some incredible young people, and whether you go to these 2 service academies or you just put on a uniform and serve your country, or you were a first responder out there and you represented your community, you know, all this idea of selfless sacrifice to our country, it's what makes America truly great, and it's our honor to support them.
Again, 12:20 on a Football Friday. Rich Quinones here. We'll take you up to 2, talking a little Army, Navy. Carl Liebert, EVP and COO, USAA, and graduate of U.S. Naval Academy. That'll be Saturday at 3, CBS. Perfect venue for that, obviously, playing in Philadelphia. Kickoff is set for 3. You'll get all the pageantry. You'll get everything. And you mentioned about the sacrifice, and I think a lot of it goes unnoticed and overlooked because, let's be honest, you know, for these young men, right, playing in this game. I mean, this is it. If we kind of equate it to like in the NFL with the Super Bowl, this is their moment, because then they're really going to do the big time work and the sacrificing and the protecting the country. So for them, they get an hour or two, a couple hours to just be kids and play, but yet it's so competitive, and it's setting them up for bigger things down the road in life.
Yeah, and look, and this is the thing that I always prepare for. These moments prepare these young men and women to be leaders and to go be leaders in whatever they do, whether it's military service or communities or corporations. But these are these moments. But more importantly, it's the moments of teamwork, right? And so I think about all of us in life. None of us get to where we're going to be without being part of a team. And the idea of what that means is truly special. And yes, you're going to see it on Saturday in Lincoln Field. It's going to be it'll be a great show for that.
And I think ultimately, however the game ends, there's always that mutual respect, no matter what, because it's the common goal, right? It's all for the common good, and that's something that, even speaking about it, even watching some of these games over the years, the late fumbles in a couple games, the missed field goals. I mean, it doesn't matter what side you're on. They always, at the end of the day, it's, brothers in arms, so to speak, right? Men and women, they all comfort each other, and it kind of gives you goosebumps even thinking about it and watching it when it unfolds.
Well, it's been, and what I'd say is it's been that kind of a week. Today's the 77th anniversary of Pearl Harbor, and we're honoring them and thinking about that. Last month we lost the oldest living survivor of Pearl Harbor. He was 106, and he passed away, and had a chance to meet him a couple years ago. And then, our late president George H.W. Bush passing away, Bush 41, and this idea of sacrifice and service and teamwork and friends and family. And we're hopeful on Saturday that at least for the folks tune in and be a part of this and watch this game, have a sense of purpose, that what it means to be an American and what it means to be a part of this great country.
Well said. I look at this from a game standpoint now. You mentioned that Navy having a little bit of a down year, but man, I'll tell you, how about Army though? Can we brag a little bit about Army for a second in the season that they're having?
It hurts me. It hurts me to brag about Army.
I know that, but I'm telling you, their quarterback, Carl Hopkins, is a monster. This kid's a monster on the ground. I think he's got 10 TDs on the ground. He's thrown for close to 900 yards and 6 scores via the air. I mean, it's his accuracy, his consistency. Listen, if Navy has any shot in this game, I think first and foremost, you got to slow him down a little bit, because their offense is one of the best in the country, especially when it comes to third down conversions.
Well, and this is they're consistently converting on third down. I think one thing is Navy's run defense is pretty good. Army doesn't throw as much as some of the other teams we played this year. But let me say this: he is a great quarterback. But what made Army football return to what Army football was known for many years ago was a program, and they built it. And Coach Monken is really invested in what it means to have this culture of commitment. And so I look at their team, and I look at how far they've come under Coach Monken's leadership, and it's great to see Army football back on the map, and it's exciting to see them at 9-2. I know it hurts me to say that as a Navy guy, but I know all these Army guys out there, they'd be busting my chops if I didn't at least give them a little love.
Well, that's being a gentleman. You have to be fair sometimes, right? It's funny because I remember we were talking about this last year. I went back and I started to look through some of the games, and there was a time where, I mean, let's be honest, I think you guys won. I want to say Navy won 17 14. Out of how many was it?
We won 14 in a row, but we quit counting. It was really tough to lose that 15th. But yeah, we had a good run for a while. But Army's won 2 in a row.
I know.
We're underdogs, and I actually like being an underdog right now. I mean, there's not a lot of pressure on Navy to come in and play well. So we like our opportunity tomorrow.
The one thing I did notice, I think, is going to look pretty cool on TV are the uniforms.
Oh, my gosh. I mean, Army, last year, the white uniforms in the snowstorm was incredible. And Army's going to come out representing the Big Red 1, which will be they're going to be coal black with Big Red 1. And, that was such a popular group. And I think the Navy helmets looked fantastic. They're a little more traditional, but the chrome and I don't know, they always do a great job of getting ready for this game. But the gear is phenomenal for this game for sure.
I know I got you for a couple more moments, and I always appreciate the time. You know, we were talking a little bit about this yesterday in closing the show. For some reason, my producer Josh and I got on the subject of just like bucket list for sports and whatnot. You know, to me, Army, Navy, that's a bucket list, right? You got to put that on your sports bucket list.
Right. Yeah, I would tell you, and it's amazing. I think most people recognize a bucket list. There's if you're a sports enthusiast, there are just things you want to go do, and whether it's the Final Four, or the NBA Finals, or Super Bowl, or Kentucky Derby, or Indy 500, or all those things. But like this game, and I describe it as when you're on the field and you see the midshipmen and the Corps of Cadet march on before the game, and they salute and the pageantry. It just feels differently. It feels bigger than just a sports event. And I think that's one of those things where I think people that come back to this game and enjoy it, and I always tell people is, if there's one thing you got to do once in your life, if you're a sports enthusiast, or even if you're an American, is come to an Army-Navy game, because you'll be proud of the country you live in and what it stands for. So.
And lastly, I don't know if it's hard for you to just kind of convey this, or it may be hard for me to convey it to you, but what does this game really, at the end of the day, truly mean for these men?
Well, I'd say what it means for these men is their country gets to observe the hard work, dedication, and sacrifice they're doing. But what I would tell you is to play in this game and be a part of it, it means the country gets a chance to see what, the sacrifice and service that they're going to do after they graduate. You've already mentioned that, Rich. It's like these kids this is their Super Bowl. This is their, the contract year. This is their thing that they'll always remember. They'll tell their kids about. And then they're going to go put on a uniform and they're going to go to foreign soil. They're going to serve somewhere out there. I've got a son serving in active duty in the Pacific now. So I know what this feels like. And what it means to them is that America takes 2 to 3 hours on the second Saturday in December and watches and observes and learns that these kids are about something bigger than themselves, and it's about our country. And so it's fun to watch and fun to be a part of.
Yeah, I told you, I grew up last year when we spoke. It was right around the year anniversary of my father's passing. It was 2 years yesterday, and I told you, I grew up watching that game with him. I mean, that was it. And, probably after about 2 or 3 hot toddies and a couple bourbons for him, I'd have to nudge him a little bit right around the fourth quarter, because for so many years, Navy was putting up 58 points against Army.
Yeah,
so.
I love it. Oh, that's so good. It's so good. Well, and most of us, I'm like you. I remember growing up watching this game with my grandfather who served in the Army, and growing up watching it with my dad. And this was the only game on television, and we got a chance to watch that. And so it's really great that we're back in Philadelphia. This is just the right city for this game to be held in, and we're so honored that Philly wants this game back, and they love to host us here, because this is really where America's game belongs.
Yeah, and all the eyeballs are going to be glued to the TV around 3 o'clock on CBS tomorrow.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be wonderful. Maybe we get a little snow tomorrow. Maybe we get some flurries.
Yeah, maybe a little flurries, but I know the Navy kicker wants another shot at that field goal at the end.
I'll tell you, that would be redemption. How about that?
That's what we want. That's what we want. He's prepared all year for this, and we like to have a shot at that.
Hey, Carl, I appreciate it greatly. I always enjoy when you come on board, and
thank you. Thanks for having us.
You know what? It's an honor to always talk to you, and an honor for everyone out there doing such a great service for the country, all the men and women. We look forward to it tomorrow. The best of luck. Hopefully, when we talk next year, I won't have 2 straight years of bragging rights. So.
Thank you. Go Navy, beat Army. Take care, Rich.
All right, Carl. Be well. Carl Liebert does a wonderful job. Thank you, Carl. Appreciate it. Joining us on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline.